things. We're doing top 10 title wins from TNA, Impact Wrestling, NWA TNA, NWA TNA, Ultra. I don't know. They got so many goddamn names. GFW, although none of them are going to make the list. I'm your host, as always, Chad Porto. And joining me is the glorious one himself, Marcus Green. Marcus, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'm going to go first with number 10. We're going to the beginning. It's Ken Shamrock, winning it at the first ever NWA TNA pay-per-view event, NWA TNA pay-per-view number 1. Back, I think it's June 16th, June 17th of 2002 in Podunkville, somewhere, Alabama. Originally, it was supposed to be Dan Severn coming in to defend the belt. They had wanted him, and the idea was to book him versus Shamrock to tap into the old UFC days. At least that's the word from the bird that I've always heard. Severn wanted too much, so the NWA just stripped him of the title, Gauntlet for the Gold. And Shamrock last beat The Wall, a.k.a. Malice, to win the belt. Marcus, we're on to number 9. Who's you got?
I'm going to take it all the way a little bit to the future. 2014, and the crowning of the Destroyer himself as the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, topping Eric Young. I'm talking about that man, Bobby Lashley. If I recollect correctly, as you always point this out, R-Truth was probably their first black champion, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we had black champion until we got Lashley, and this is talking about the official lineage of the company's actual world title, not the whole NWA situation that was going on. So yeah, man, Lashley, this will be his first of his, I think, 4 reigns. And I enjoyed all 4 of them, but this was significant for a lot of reasons. One, he was finally, a world champion. He had all the tools to be it, and then I think he only got better as his reigns went off. But this was a significant thing. Also, it capped off Eric Young's reign, which, like I said, it was a lot of spirited efforts, man. But I just, they needed a different move, and then Lashley was that right move.
Yes, Bobby Lashley is the first ever TNA Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion who is black, unless you consider race to be sexually transmitted, in which case Kurt Angle is.
Oh, it's so. What was Khan?
Rockacon. My next pick is actually going to go to one that is rather disappointing, but still made me mark out, because I'm going with how I felt in the moment, not how it turned out afterwards. That's Pentagon Jr. You and I were huge Pentagon fans coming off his Lucha Underground run. And when he went to Impact Wrestling, like, oh my God, what a great idea. And then he started tag team wrestling, and it all went down from there. But during that brief moment at Redemption 2018 or 2019, whatever one it was, he was the goddamn man, only man that I like that has won both the Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling titles, although they're all quickly falling into the same categories of douchebags, so, there's that. Marcus, who's your number 7?
Number 7 for me is, I'm going 2008. I think this was a career versus title match. Going with the crowning of Samoan submission machine Samoa Joe, as he knocked off Kurt Angle to get his first and only world title reign in the company.
Mm-hmm.
That was a moment. I mean, look, one of the greatest moments in that company's history is, Kurt Angle showing up and headbutts, heard around the world, and to finally cap that off with Joe, who literally ran roughshod through that company, for, again, one of his most memorable runs in terms of that company's history, specifically the X Division. And for him to finally, get that strap off of the legend that is Kurt Angle in the way that he did, it was a really great moment, man.
I also like the fact that it was like an MMA rules bout. At the time, I thought it was dumb. But looking back,
Yeah.
I really wish that they would have gone further into the idea, because it was supposed to be like this big tonal shift for the company. If only.
Mm.
If only. My next one up, what are we on? 6? We're flying through this. Is a former NWA TNA, former ECW World Heavyweight Champion. His name is Raven. The only reason he won a title because he said, "What about me?" And then they're like, "Okay, here you go." The title win unfortunately happened at a time when TNA didn't actually have a television show. They were airing their episodes of Impact streaming way back when on their official website. At the time, I think it was still NWATNA.com. So you would have to go to the website to watch that week's episode of Impact, and then, if you were lucky, you would then tune in for the pay-per-view. And Raven, during that, what we'll call the lights out period of the company, was their champion. And as soon as they got signed by Spike TV said, "Hey, we want someone with some notoriety. We want Kevin Nash." And they're like, "Well, Kevin Nash has a bad heart. All right, just give it to Jeff Jarrett." So they put it on Jeff Jarrett. And then Kevin Nash like, "I'm healthy again." They're like, "Oh, cool. Now put it back on Kevin Nash." And then Kevin Nash like, "Wait, nope, not healthy anymore." And they're like, fuck it. Just give it to Rhino. We don't care anymore. So that was unfortunately how Raven lost the belt.
These are the moments where I'm really glad I came into the company when I did, in terms of watching it, because that literally sounds like some BS.
Oh, it is. It is. Thankfully, it never actually played out on television, but that's exactly what happened. Marcus, what's your next pick at number? I think we're on. I don't know. I lost count. I'm not good with numbers.
Yeah, my number 3 pick, my third pick for my 5. We're gonna do it like that. We're going back to 2012 Destination X. Not at the time, but what he would later be called, known as the greatest man that ever lived. Austin Aries topples Bobby Roode to catch his first World Heavyweight Championship in the company, and coming off of a great run. Like, that was one of my favorite things of that year. I had been, and I think more so than you, had been a fan of Roode's run because of just what I saw the effort and put into it. But Aries coming into the company, starting out in the X Division the way that he did, literally running his own version of roughshod through the division and properly being built to the world title, introducing that whole option seat thing, which I thought was great at the time, as it was, and cashing that in for a world championship shot and toppling Roode the way that he did. It was just, it's how you build somebody to a world championship, and he thought it was going to be a turning moment in the company, and it was for a time. But I think the moment was really something special, and to the point where even other people in the industry was, commending Impact for the decision. So, I think broke a lot of little things about, like, guys his size, and obviously we've seen guys in the division do it before, but I don't think since somebody like Styles and Joe have we seen somebody do it properly in the way that Aries did it. So 2020 feelings for him aside, I thought that was a great win.
Yeah, I can't disagree. It was a monumental moment in booking for this company because just a year prior, he was brought in at the same event and, quote-unquote, won his contract. So it came full circle that year. So, tip your cap when it's due. Next up, I'm going with the one man who's just crazy enough to, I don't know, I don't have a good joke. He's fucking Kurt Angle. What more do you need? He's a goddamn psychopath. And I love him. He's so good. Him winning the TNA World title as the first official TNA World Champion is a hallmark moment. The belt that he won is just too fucking sweet. Like, look at this. Oh, my God, that belt. Oh, that belt is pretty. They need to just bring it back. Just replace the TNA logo on the top with an Impact logo, and bada bing. You're ready to go.
That's what they did with the Global Force Championship. They literally just snapped.
It's like they glued it on.
Yeah. They super glued that shit. Oh, Drake, you are underappreciated for just holding that thing without, I guess, bitching and moaning about it.
Laughing perpetually. All right, Marcus, your turn.
For me, yeah. My pick, come on, man. One of the best shows of the year for us. Certainly of its weekend. What it was last weekend, Slammiversary 2020, man. Mr. Anything is Possible, Eddie Edwards, bringing legitimacy and consistency back to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship You know, whirlwind of a storyline to me coming off of obviously he's his first world title happened some years back when he beat Lashley and then he would drop it and then kind of spin out and eventually went to this whole crazy thing. We saw him slowly but surely come out of that and to come back to this event and to win the championship and to do it against a man that has been a colossal pain in his ass, maybe second only to Sami Callihan in Austin in Ace Austin, was just a great moment, man. I don't think when you talk about people that deserved to get a championship win, I don't think you look no further than Eddie Edwards. So, great stuff.
Solid entry there. Next up for me, my last one is obviously Sting. And I'm going to his first win in, 7 years? First world title win in 7 years at Bound for Glory 2006. His last world title win was in 1999. And, him beating Jeff Jarrett was a landmark moment for the company because it was their first ever event. I shouldn't say first ever event. It was their first ever live 3-hour pay-per-view from the road. They were in, they said Detroit, Michigan, but it was actually like a suburb of Detroit. It was at a little ice hockey arena, but it actually looked really great on television. He looked great. The match was great. Everything about it was great, and I loved it, and that's why Sting's the best wrestler of all time. Don't at me. Marcus, number 1.
Don't be surprised if you hear that man's name a lot. Most of these 3 lists. But number 1 for me, and this is been a pattern with these Impact lists. I'm going to 2009. When there was
No Surrender.
Was it No Surrender? 2009, man. Freaking AJ Styles claims his first and proper World Heavyweight Championship in a great effort, and it was just, the best way I can describe it was the guy getting to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And what made it even more special was that he literally got the torch passed from the guy who was your guy in Sting. Like he literally, that was just great moment where Sting could have kind of cut him off, and he decided to down to the outside and let AJ hit, I think, his Superman springboard 450 and win the match, because I think leading up to this, correct me if I'm wrong, AJ was having a lot of confidence issues in himself. He was wavering, and Sting, well, it seems like this storyline happened a lot with Sting being the guy to get the wind back underneath people's wings. But specifically with AJ, and he kind of like, you know what, this guy needs this right now, so he can be the guy that everybody else sees. And it was just a phenomenal, pun intended. It was a little legitimate, and the celebration afterwards, it was perfect.
Yeah, the entire TNA community joined in with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels as they celebrated. Confetti fell. It was a great moment. Sting leaping onto Matt Morgan for no reason, loved it. Hernandez showing up at the beginning of the match for some reason, loved it. It made no sense, loved it all. It's phenomenal. Jokes. All right, Marcus, that takes us through this week's episode, or this Monday's episode of the Wrestling Underground Top 10. Go to realnerdcorp.com for all your podcasting needs. We have a new episode up tomorrow, because remember, this is going up Monday. So tune in to twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground to listen to our next edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. And yeah, that'll do it. For Marcus Green, you can find him at ParadoxKid on Twitter, ParadoxKid.
That is me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, The True Penny Show, at TruePennyShow on Twitter. That's True Penny Show on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter at Chad NerdCorp, ChadNerdCorp, and on Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut, ChadSPhotoHut. And as always, if you need to find any of our past podcasts, any of our past articles, I swear to God that mid-year report card's coming eventually. Go to realnerdcorp.com and check us out. For Mark Green, I'm Chad Portal. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for checking us out, and thanks for giving us a chance. And as always, Marcus, take us home.
Good night, meat.
All right, my fan almost fell out of the window, and I was like, oh my God, no.